back to Houston Life. This next story shares a very special place in our hearts, as it all started with a chance encounter right here in our studio.
Yeah, when speedcuber Matt Lee first visited Houston Life, we were absolutely blown away by his skills, his ability to solve a Rubik's Cube in just a few seconds. But behind the scenes, his visit also sparked a conversation with one of our coworkers, Brian Perry, who lost his son to cancer 5 years ago. That meeting would lead to something much bigger than cubing.
Yeah, today Matt is back along with Brian to talk about how their meeting here 3 years ago led to Cube Against Cancer, a growing cube competition series with a powerful mission. Now, you guys both have incredibly touching stories, but Matt, I want to start with you. How did cubing get started for you? Because I feel like it's not super common, but it's not uncommon too.
Right, so it all started when I was in the 4th grade. One of my buddies was able to solve a Rubik's Cube, and I was like, I saw that and I was like, I gotta learn how to do that now. And I was like one of those kids who's always like a doer, always wanted to learn all these different skills and whatnot. So the Rubik's Cube was that next thing. I got one in a stocking from Santa in 4th grade, and then learned how to solve it. And then thanks to an awesome supporting mother, I started traveling to competitions and, just got my time down really quick, practice, and then, now we're here. So,
So thanks Santa Claus for that.
And thanks Mom too. Good job, Mom, and Santa, wherever you are. Matt, it truly is so cool to watch. And in fact, it's so cool that our coworker, Brian Perry, looked up at the television one day 3 years ago here and said, wow, that kid is awesome. You came into studio to meet Matt. Is that right, Brian?
I did.
So how did this all go down? What was the conversation like?
It was an interesting conversation because I had, my wife and I, we were starting a nonprofit. 5 years ago, our youngest son passed away from cancer, and we started a nonprofit with Rubik's Cubes because we wanted to get Rubik's Cubes into the hands of pediatric cancer patients. And I was at my desk working, and I looked up and I saw the tease as like, oh, there's going to be a speedcuber. I was like, oh, this is really cool. I've never met someone like that. And then I walked over and we started a conversation.
It was like you fell into his lap. It was like fate right there, right?
We're seeing photos of Ethan, and Ethan, by the way, had a Rubik's Cube in his hospital room.
Yes.
Is that why the connection happened?
Yes, Ethan was given a Rubik's Cube. There he is where he had solved it. Ethan was given a Rubik's Cube during his treatment because it would help with hand-eye coordination. And he was a very bright kid, and he's like, oh, I've never solved one before. And he went online, figured out all the algorithms, and like 2 hours later, he had it solved.
Wow.
And it was great because as the doctors and nurses would come into the room, he would say to them, here, mix this up, and they would mix it up, and he would, solve it right in front of them. So it became this great conversation piece between him and his care team.
Amazing. Well, then how did you guys come up with the whole foundation? What was that conversation that brought everything together? You're like, that's a very good idea. I want to get involved.
Yeah, so after I talked to Brian here at the studio, I was actually here because I had another competition that I was organizing upcoming, and that one was supporting a different charity. So what immediately just fell into my lap, the idea was just like, what if I did a competition, all the competitors bring in a Rubik's Cube, and then we take those cubes and donate them to Ethan's Ohana. So about 4 months later, that interview was in January. In April, we held that competition, and we had around 70 competitors that made it happen. And then from there, repeated that the next year, doubled the amount of competitors at the University of Houston. And then last year, I reached out to all these organizers just across the United States. Had about 8 people, all the way from Orange County, California to Buffalo, New York, interested in hey, let me put on a Cube Against Cancer competition. And then this year we've gone worldwide.
Mind you, Matt, you were 17 when you were here last time,
yes.
and you're only 3 years older now. So
right.
Incredible work out of a 17-year-old, just fantastic.
Yeah, appreciate it.
What has the response been? Because Cube Against Cancer, I'm sure that 5 years ago, this was not on either of your life game plans, right? I mean, it's incredible that now, through hardship and heartbreak, Brian, you and your wife, Angie, along with Matt, have been able to touch young kids all over the world.
Yes, we've been able to put Rubik's Cubes and STEM toys into the hands of pediatric cancer patients all over the world, all the way in Australia.
And why is that so important that their minds, stay active and that they have something to work on in their hospital rooms?
Because for Ethan, the Rubik's Cube was a great hand-eye coordination. He had, he had some side effects to the cancer drugs, and he needed to work on his hand movements. And it was just a great thing. And plus, when you're just sitting in a hospital room as a patient, and especially as his age, he was 12. There's not really a lot of great things to do besides watch TV and play video games.
You want to do stuff.
Right, exactly.
Right. Matt, tell us about this weekend's event.
Yeah, so this weekend on Saturday, we have a competition, Cube Against Cancer Houston, going on at the Norris Conference Center in City Center. We've got 170 people registered to compete.
Whoa.
But it's open to spectators, so if any of y'all are interested or if you want to come by and donate some Rubik's Cubes or anything like that, feel free to come by. We're starting at 9 a.m. Morning hours are definitely the best. That's when the most action's going on, but all-day event, so yeah.
And if people want to donate Rubik's Cubes, that is a great way to support your mission. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to be sure that we have that link on our website, HoustonLife.tv, under the Scene on Houston Life section. And also, getting involved by going to one of these events. Matt, truly, what you do is just mesmerizing. I still don't know how you do it. When we were kids, we took the stickers off the Rubik's Cubes.
Cheated.
Can't do that anymore. But after the break, Matt will be sharing some tips on how to solve a Rubik's Cube. Brian, maybe you'll try it?
Yeah, I mean, how I used to solve it was by taking it apart.
Oh, well, we're not going to be doing that. We're going to see how the pro does it when Houston Life returns. Don't go away. Okay, well, welcome back to Houston Life. We have been learning about an initiative between speedcuber Matt Lee and KPRC2's Brian Perry to bring joy to pediatric cancer patients through Rubik's Cubes.
Yeah, and it all started when Matt came on the show to talk to us about speed cubing, and he's gonna try to teach us how to do it. All right, we were listening to your theories and how you work through this, Matt, but give us some tips. How do you do this?
Yeah, absolutely. So whenever you think about a Rubik's Cube, you gotta think about it as like the centers are always gonna be opposite from each other. So white is always gonna be opposite from yellow, blue is always opposite from green, and then red is always opposite from orange.
Okay.
And so it's not like you're building a side-by-side puzzle, it's actually layer by layer. So think of it like a cake. Like I'd build this first layer first, right here, then I'd build the first two, and then I'd finish up with the top face. So,
but the problem, though, for normal people, I'm sorry, for the rest of us, is that when you build the cake, you realize that you've built a totally different something on the sides, right? During the break, by the way, Matt told us that solving a Rubik's Cube is common sense to him. And that just shows us how smart you are, how fascinating your brain works. Will you just solve the one that I scrambled during the break? Just to give our viewers a little taste of what you can do.
Yeah, we're ready.
3, 2, 1.
Wow.
Wow. Okay,
that was 8 or 9
8 or 9
seconds?
seconds. Look at that. I think you solved it faster than I scrambled it.
You were scrambling it for a solid 2 minutes,
Wow, didn't even break a sweat, like no big deal. Has there ever been a time though when you were not able to solve one?
I mean, so once I learned how to solve a Rubik's Cube, it's never a skill that's gone away because I've always sort of kept it up sometimes over the years. Now granted during COVID and stuff like that, I wasn't really as into it, but I still knew how to do it. It's once you learn, and as long as you do it from time to time, you'll still retain.
It's like muscle memory?
Yeah, probably.
In a way, yes.
Okay, so for 101, we're not talking about doing it fast here. What would be the first place one would start, though? I know you know the opposite colors, but if I'm looking at this and I'm like, I'm not doing it for time, where do I even start with this?
Right, so the first step is going to be building this thing called a white daisy.
Okay.
And so what it looks like is you take this yellow centerpiece here, and then you build the white edges around. And so right here, we already got one little petal of this daisy.
Okay.
Now we have 2 petals. You see how there's 2 white edges that are against the yellow? And then if I do some more moves, that's 3 white parts of the daisy, and then there we go. We've got all 4 centers around, so we have some sort of daisy.
Oh,
this is how
I
we do
see.
it for
Okay, with the yellow as the
method.
pollen. Okay.
Yeah. And then moving on from here, the next step is to turn this into a white cross. And so to do that, each of these white edges is going to have a corresponding blue piece because the blue and white center share a face. And so what I would do is this is our white daisy here.
Okay.
It's a white and blue edge, so I'm going to match it up with that blue center here. So I've got that white, blue, yellow edge, and then I'm going to move it down. So now all things considered, this block right here is complete.
Okay.
And so that's our very, very first step.
But once you've completed one block, then the others all get messed up.
And then there's a whole part of it.
I solved one color, but now I'm like,
Brian Perry, have you ever solved a Rubik's Cube?
never.
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 I feel like it's really, you need to learn the Rubik's Cube, how it starts, right? So you need to learn the color patterns.
Right.
And then you kind of learn your tips and tricks from there.
And it's definitely Ethan took 2 hours to solve it. I probably took longer than that my first try. But I think, in today's day and age, you can go on YouTube, find anything. You can learn how to do anything on YouTube. Rubik's Cube is one of those things. And then, just really, I think it's a great way to you know, in today's day and age with all the distractions and everything.
Yeah.
You know, get that delayed gratification. Maybe instead of like a scroll on TikTok, you get that dopamine hit a little bit later.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that
Yeah.
because obviously young people staring at screens,
Phones.
this is something that a lot of people do. Do you think it's fair to say that being involved with a Rubik's Cube from a young age like kind of disciplined you or like shaped your mind into what it is today?
I think in some ways, I think the biggest impact that the Rubik's Cube has had in terms of like maybe like my education and whatnot is that like even like teachers would like treat me different because they're like, oh, this kid can solve a Rubik's Cube.
He's smarter than all of us.
And I'm like, I don't think like
right.
I'm pretty smart, but I don't think I'm too much smarter than like, you know, any given person. And like, you know, really anyone can solve a Rubik's Cube. And I think that's one of the special things about it is that like, you know, it's 43 quintillion combination. There's one solution, and really anyone can get to that.
43
So,
quintillion combinations.
Quintillion.
yes.
Wow. Well, that's not daunting at all. By the way, Matt is a business student at A&M. If people want to get involved, final thoughts. How do they donate or attend one of your events?
Yeah, absolutely. So to donate, specifically for Brian's initiative, you can go to ethansohana.org. And then if you're interested in learning about more of Cube Against Cancer specifically, you can go to cubeagainstcancer.org and find the list of all of our Cube Against Cancer events. I mean, we have this event in Houston this weekend. There's also one upcoming in Dallas. We have one in Tulsa sometime soon. I mean, they're all across the world now.
Okay.
And
Cool.
Yeah.
Amazing.
also the worldcubeassociation.org for all global competitions.
Okay, Matt Lee, Brian Perry,
Yeah,
thanks so
thank
much.
you.
Thank
It's
you.
really cool what you're doing. Yes, great way to
Amazing.
get
Yeah.
involved. Honor Ethan's memory as well. We have posted details about Cube Against Cancer's upcoming event on our website, HoustonLife.tv. Also info on how you can donate as well.